What's good, YouTube? STORMYBMAN back with another video editorial. Before we get started, I want to say shout out to the LDBC, the Lions Den boxing community, New Media, and Liberated Perspective, the third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This video is titled The Final Round, and the reason why is I want to discuss the changes that were made in championship fights with 15-round championship fights being reduced down to 12 rounds. The last sanctioned championship fight at heavyweight for 15 rounds was the Mike Tyson versus Tyrell Biggs fight from 1987. This came on the heels of some things that had happened in boxing, primarily a fight between Ray Mancini and Dooku Kim, who died a few days after his fight with Ray Mancini from injuries. And we had later found that he had fought another fight just a couple of weeks before the Mancini fight and was KO'd in that match as well. The championship fights were 15 rounds. It really was a turning point for fighters that separated those who had strong consternation as opposed to those who may have just been built to go a certain length of time. With the championship rounds being rounds 12 through 15, you usually saw the cream rise to the top, and for true champions, it was a time where they could really turn up the heat on an opponent who had been taken into deeper waters where he may not have been before prior to challenging for a championship. This is usually when something really exciting happened, and usually when the champions would secure the title fights. They knew they had a certain amount of rounds to work with, and therefore they would put in a certain amount of work during the early to mid rounds, making a particular challenger feel that he was competing. But all the while knowing that that last quarter of the fight, particularly because non-title bouts were not 15 rounds, challengers hadn't gone that distance before, and that was where the true separation occurred. This is another reason why the phrase "going the distance" was so significant and more prominent in boxing in former times, because as a challenger to a title, most contenders were interested in just making it the distance, that 15 rounds. A lot of them would question themselves, can I really do it? I know what I've trained for, but can I put myself in that position to be there for that final bell with the champ? And even films like Rocky took that vernacular and utilized it and used it for the drama of the event in the film, going the distance with the champ. That was really what was important back in the day. Now that fights have been reduced to 12 rounds, fighters are more adept at looking at splitting rounds and dividing rounds up in chunks of where if they win a certain amount, 7-5, so to speak, they think that they can ensure a victory. But this may not necessarily be the case, but it also opens up an avenue for more draws, which is very uncomfortable with the fans. How many times in this modern era have we seen it in a 12-round championship match that too even of a split, 6 one way, 6 the other, or two judges would have it one way and then another judge would have it another way, and you end up with a draw? Draws are really killing the sport currently. Now, we've always had bad decisions in boxing, but the draws are really making things stink up the joint, because draws will be an implication that there could be a rematch in the works or something like that, instead of getting a decisive victory on a particular fighter's record where he can move forward and continue to defend as a champion, or move into the role of a champion if he were a challenger that gained a victory over a champion. I mean, if you just look at it, we would not have had great fights like Ali Frazier 1 and 3, or Tate versus Weaver with the dramatic 15-round KO that Weaver was able to score over WBA champion John Tate with less than a minute to go in the fight. A very decisive end to a fight in the 15th round. Holmes versus Norton, which was a close, competitive fight, but with Holmes scoring the victory and going on to be a champion for 7.5 years and 20 title defenses. Need we be reminded of the legendary battles between Duran and Hagler, or Matthew Saad Muhammad and Yaki Lopez 1 and especially 2 in this case, which ended in a 14th round victory for Matthew Saad Muhammad, KO victory. Leonard versus Hearns 1 back in September of 1981, with Leonard scoring a 14th round KO. All of these are legendary bouts that ended up in the later quarter of the fight, where it separated the talent, the desire, and the esteem of the champions and challengers. Oftentimes, champions retain titles, but then there were also upsets. And this is what made the sport so compelling and exciting at the same time. We yearn for those times again. And I feel like those type of fights with those extended rounds can make the difference. What do you think? I mean, this is something worth speaking about. And where we are right now in boxing, we could really do without all of these draws. This is STORMYBMAN, and I thought I would bring this to forefront for the topic of discussion. What do you think? This is all I have for you at this time. Until we meet again, I want to say peace.